economics now is a very large box where there are many different sub-disciplines and many different research streams, applications, methodologies, and so on. And again, they all hopefully help towards a common good of understanding better our economies and society, and provide the right tools to achieve a better and more prosperous world for all. Capitalism is robust and serves the need of humanity, or at least could be a good tool to provide prosperity for all, but only if it's together and complementary with the liberal order. So with a democratic system that allows people to prosper. It's up to us economists to be responsible and ethical in our research, and try to stick to the facts and the analysis, rather than try to force our analysis in order to support a certain ideological position. Well, economics is part of our life. It's a social science, and it describes and analyzes the world we live in. And it provides the analytical instruments to understand the complexity of our world. It tells us how we produce, how we consume, how we use resources, how we use natural resources, how we take decisions, and how we interact with each other, and how much productivity we are able to obtain, and so on and so forth. So these are all relevant questions for our world, and that's why economics matters. But economics has to be presented and understood and become part of our world, rather than being a sort of a blue sky detached discipline. Then it becomes with a very difficult language, so alien to many of us, many people who want to understand better our world. I would say there are no differences, in the sense the differences are in the methodology and in the context of the application of economic concepts and tools. But in reality, this, I would say, economic science and economic engineer should be the two sides of the same coin. So they should be complementary. They should help each other. So economic science or academic economics should provide the analytical instruments and framework and conceptual framework to understand the world we're in. And they should provide models, tools, concepts, simulation to get a better understanding of the reality. And but at the same time, policies should provide a solution. And based on what we know from science, economics, then policy should provide a solution to problems that have occurred or they might occur. So the two really complement each other. There are two, as I said, they should work together. And again, science economics or academic economics shouldn't be in an ivory tower, but should be actually be very close to the nitty and gritty of policymaking. Well, it should, and it should serve the common good of understanding and distributing resources and making our societies more equal, more fair, where resources are distributed are not wasted, they're not again cause any harm. So these are all part of the common goods, and the common goods are an important concept in economics. Is again something we consume together, and it doesn't diminish, and we should be protecting these common goods. So again, again, clean air is a common goods, and so economics and policies together should provide and should protect these common goods. Natural resources are common goods, but unfortunately they are depleted, or can be depleted. And again, we need to understand how again, the process of using these resources or the alternatives to these resources work. And again, demand and supply chain, and alternative are all very important. So are all part of economics. So economics is important. And again, I stress, is a social science because it's deeply ingrained in society and need to provide answer and solution for societies. Well, economics is a discipline in progress. It evolves as all disciplines. So it responds to the need and to what we see is important to us and is relevant to us. And so obviously, when economics started as a social science in the late 18th century, the issues were completely different from what we see, the issue we experience every day. So again, at that time, it was the technology, the industrialization, is the distribution of resources, again, is the free trade as opposed to, protectionism. These were the issues that concern the early economists. And then the discipline obviously move on and change and adapt it to all our needs. So I think it would be unfair to describe economics just as a discipline of demand and supply and economic growth and so on. But it's a discipline that exploring many more issues. So climate change, obviously it is. Environmental sustainability is part of economics these days. The green economy is a branch of economics which is well established. Health economics is well established. Again, how we manage and how we build and manage resilient health systems. Again, these are all responses to common needs, and that's how and why economics is important, and how it's evolving. And so again, economics now is a very large box where there are many different sub-disciplines and many different research streams, applications, methodologies, and so on. And again, they all hopefully help towards a common good of understanding better our economies and society, and provide the right tools to achieve a better and more prosperous world for all. This is very tough. I mean, thinking that economists should be made accountable for their advice is pretty tough, because again, how do we measure this? What does it mean being accountable? Which are the criteria and the parameters to hold somebody accountable? But that doesn't mean that economists do not have responsibilities, and the responsibilities towards ethical research means that you do research along and observing the principle of good intellectual truthful fact-based research. So the risk is, and we know there is this risk, and we know many cases of economists using economics for a specific agenda that is irresponsible. And economics, like many social sciences, can be twisted to support one agenda, political agenda, or another political agenda. So, and again, it's up to us economists to be responsible and ethical in our research, and try to stick to the facts and the analysis rather than try to force our analysis in order to support a certain ideological position. Well, economics deal with capitalism, and capitalism is a mix, as we know it nowadays, is a system of market economy with some state intervention. Depends where we are, and it depends on the framework and the type of framework than we have in our specific countries. Again, I think China provides an interesting example of a mix of capitalist features, market features, planned, I mean, again, characteristics and state intervention. And in fact, the Chinese themselves define their system as capitalism with Chinese characteristics, and or socialism with Chinese characteristics. This is to say that it's very difficult to provide a clear definition of capitalism. Is many things at once, and obviously it's. But I would say, in a nutshell, is basically define a system where there is a strong element that is provided by finance, by capital, that is used to for investment and for expanding the economy. And then again, how this capital then is remunerated, how is the relationship between capital and labor, if you want to be old-fashioned Marxist, but not even that old-fashioned, because it is actually a very critical policy point in even to our days. Then you have all these elements, and then how you define it, it's a bit complicated, but that's in a nutshell how I would define capitalism. I don't think the global capitalism is what we used to know in the 19th century. So it has already not survived in that form, and it has evolved in a different form. So again, it's a system which is much more complex with many different features, and some of these features disappears and to make space for other features. So again, we can discuss, and I know economic historians who are much better qualified to discuss these issues, and they had discussed forever whether there was some kind of capitalism in the ancient Rome, or there was some capitalism in the early modern age. So, I mean, we can leave this discussion to the historians. For the future, unless we find a system which is equally flexible, able to adapt and adjust, and then that prove quite good in promoting and supporting the development of many individuals and countries, which has happened actually in our system, then I think it would be difficult to find a replacement, or at least, something that can continue to adapt. So capitalism is morphing day by day, and again, China provides the example of how this transformation and adaptation works in practice. I wouldn't actually single out capitalism on its own. I think to me, capitalism is robust and serves the need of humanity. Or at least it's could be a good tool to provide prosperity for all, but only if it's together and complementary with the liberal order. So with a democratic system that allows people to prosper. And so those are the two conditions. So capitalism tend to prosper in a free society, and a free society means a democratic society. We have many examples of a mix of market economy / capitalism and authoritarian rules. And but these are a mix. These are constraining, and these are systems which are less adjustable and less changeable. So again, if you think as capitalism as providing a service to people, then it has to be something that people can vote or not vote for. And so that means it has to be in a democratic system. Otherwise, we could have prosperity and the rule of law, but without democracy, and with all the problems that this involves.